The Galactic Assembly's plan. The great chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity, a symphony of voices blending together in a cacophony of arrogance and disdain. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the room, their holographic projections shimmering with life. At the center of it all stood Supreme Counselor Verathos, a tall, imposing figure with scales that shimmered like liquid silver. His voice boomed, silencing the restless crowd. Fellow council members, it is time we address the human problem. The assembly fell quiet. Humanity had been a thorn in the galaxy's side for far too long. A fledgling species, barely a few centuries into space travel, they had somehow resisted every effort to control them. Worse, they were expanding rapidly, their colonies flourishing despite hostile conditions. A Cloraxian representative, his translucent skin pulsating with irritation, spoke up. "Supreme Counselor, we have used diplomacy, trade sanctions, and even covert sabotage. Yet these creatures thrive. They lack respect for our authority. They refuse to kneel before us." The chamber erupted in agreement. Verathos raised a hand, silencing them again. "Indeed, they defy us. But they are nothing more than insects before the might of the Galactic Council. Their resistance is an insult to our power. That is why I propose we deploy the bioweapon protocol." A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. The bioweapon protocol was the Council's most advanced weapon, designed to cripple entire civilizations without firing a single shot. Unlike conventional weapons, this one targeted biological weaknesses, spreading a virus engineered to disrupt a species' bodily systems. It was swift, silent, and devastating. But Supreme Counselor, interjected a Cerethian diplomat with flowing, feather-like appendages, "the use of such a weapon against a species as primitive as humanity seems excessive." Excessive. Verathos sneered. "Do you forget how they humiliated us on Epsilon Prime, or how they refused to share their resource-rich colonies on Orion VI? These creatures are a threat, and threats must be eliminated." The room murmured its reluctant agreement. The Supreme Counselor turned to a panel of scientists seated in the corner. "Dr. Krillon, is the bioweapon ready for deployment?" A small, insectoid figure stepped forward, his multiple eyes blinking in unison. "Yes, Supreme Counselor. The weapon has been tailored specifically to the human genome. It will spread through their atmosphere and incapacitate them within days. They will be powerless to resist." Verathos nodded, a cruel smile spreading across his face. "Excellent. Then it is decided. Humanity will learn the price of defiance." The assembly erupted in applause, though some members clapped hesitantly, their unease evident. Far away, on the blue-green planet of Earth, life went on as usual. People hurried through bustling cities, children laughed in playgrounds, and scientists worked tirelessly in their labs, oblivious to the storm brewing in the depths of space. Unseen by human eyes, a fleet of sleek, black council ships slipped into Earth's orbit. From these vessels, the bioweapon was released, a fine, invisible mist that drifted down into the planet's atmosphere. The Council watched from their chambers, eagerly awaiting the results. Holographic screens displayed Earth in real time, the Council members leaning forward in anticipation. "It won't be long now," Dr. Krillon said confidently. "Their respiratory systems will fail first, followed by complete organ collapse. Within a week, humanity will be at our mercy." But as the hours passed, nothing happened. Humans continued their daily lives as if nothing were amiss. There were no reports of illness, no signs of distress. "What is going on?" Verathos demanded, his voice filled with anger. "Why aren't they dying?" Dr. Krillon fidgeted nervously. I don't understand. The weapon should be working. It was flawless in simulations." The council chamber grew tense. The screens showed humans breathing the tainted air without any effect. Some even seemed healthier than before, their vitality inexplicably improving. "This is impossible," Krillon muttered, his voice trembling. Supreme Counselor Verathos glared at him. "You assured us of success. Explain this failure. I need time to analyze the data, Krellin stammered. There must be something about their biology we overlooked. Overlooked? Varathos roared. You had one task, Krellin. If humanity survives this, it will be a stain on the Council's reputation. As Krellin hurried away to investigate, a chilling silence filled the chamber. For the first time, doubt began to creep into the minds of the Council members. Humanity was supposed to be weak, primitive, and easily subdued. Yet here they were, defying the most advanced weapon in the galaxy. Perhaps, murmured the Cerethian diplomat, humanity is not as fragile as we thought. Varathos clenched his fists, his silver scales darkening with frustration. No, there must be an explanation. We will not allow them to make fools of us. Unbeknownst to the Council, this was just the beginning. Humanity's unexpected immunity was about to change everything, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity's mysterious immunity. The Galactic Council's chamber was no longer a place of triumphant anticipation. Instead, tension hung heavy in the air. Every pair of alien eyes was fixed on the holographic screens, replaying footage of Earth. The humans breathed, laughed, and lived, completely unaffected by the bioweapon. Supreme Counselor Varathos slammed his fist onto the table, the sound echoing across the chamber. This is unacceptable. How could this happen? Dr. Krellin, you swore the weapon was infallible. Dr. Krellin, the insectoid scientist, shifted nervously under the weight of the Supreme Counselor's glare. Supreme Counselor, I assure you, the weapon performed perfectly during testing. There must be something unique about the humans that disrupted its effectiveness. I am conducting an analysis to determine the cause. You had better find answers, Krellin, Varathos growled, his silver scales glinting ominously. Or it will be your reputation, and your life, on the line. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued as normal. But amidst the hum of human activity, a few anomalies began to surface. Dr. Evelyn Carter, a biologist at the Global Disease Research Institute, noticed strange data coming from air quality monitors. The atmospheric composition had slightly shifted. Trace elements that weren't there a week ago had suddenly appeared. This can't be right, she muttered, staring at the screen. These compounds, they're alien. She immediately contacted her colleague, Dr. Raj Patel, an astrophysicist. Together, they analyzed the data and came to a startling conclusion. This isn't natural, Raj said, his voice laced with concern. This was released deliberately. Someone, something, targeted Earth. But why hasn't it affected us? Evelyn asked, her brow furrowed. Raj shrugged. That's the real question. If it's designed to harm us, it's not working. Instead, it's just lingering. The two scientists decided to escalate their findings to world leaders, but they had no idea they were being observed. High above Earth, cloaked council ships monitored the planet. The alien operatives on board were growing increasingly agitated. Supreme Counselor Varathos demands answers. One of the operatives, a reptilian warrior named Soreth, hissed into his communicator. Another operative, a feathered being called Lyra, shook her head in disbelief. These humans are more resilient than we thought. It's not just their technology. They have a biological advantage we didn't anticipate. We must gather samples, Soreth said. If we don't return with concrete data, the Council will consider this mission a failure. And failures aren't tolerated. The operatives prepared to infiltrate Earth. Back in the Council chamber, Dr. Krellin stood before the assembly, his findings displayed on a massive holographic screen. Council members, I believe I have identified the anomaly, Krellin began, his voice trembling slightly. The screen displayed a complex diagram of human DNA. Humans possess a unique genetic structure, he explained. Their immune systems are not only adaptive but incredibly robust. Over centuries, they have evolved to survive in some of the most hostile environments. Unlike other species, their bodies have developed a near-universal resilience to pathogens and toxins. It's possible that this same resilience is neutralizing our bioweapon. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This cannot be, Verethos said, his voice low and dangerous. Are you saying these primitive beings have a natural immunity to our most advanced weapon? Krillon hesitated before nodding. It appears so, Supreme Counselor. The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from different species shouted over each other, their voices filled with disbelief and frustration. This is unprecedented, one roared. Humans cannot be allowed to spread further, another cried. Verethos raised a hand, silencing the room. His silver eyes burned with cold fury. If their immunity is natural, then we must find a way to overcome it. Krillon, you will continue your research. Meanwhile, I will authorize a reconnaissance mission to gather more data directly from Earth. He turned to the assembly. Humanity has defied us, but they will not escape our grasp. Their immunity may delay their downfall, but it will not save them. As the alien operatives prepared for their mission, Evelyn and Raj continued their investigations on Earth, unaware of the galactic forces watching them. But the pieces were beginning to fall into place. Humanity's resilience wasn't just a biological curiosity. It was a declaration to the galaxy. And soon, the aliens would learn a lesson they'd never forget. The strength of humanity wasn't just in their biology. It was in their unyielding spirit. The stage was set, the stakes rising with every moment. The Galactic Council thought humanity's immunity was a mystery to solve. But in reality, it was the first spark of a fire they would struggle to contain. The Galactic Council investigates. The cloaked reconnaissance vessel hovered just beyond Earth's atmosphere, invisible to the human eye. Inside, a team of elite operatives prepared for their mission. Soreth, the reptilian commander, inspected the equipment one last time, his sharp claws tapping against the control panel. Remember, he growled to his team, this is a covered operation. No contact with the humans. We gather samples, analyze their environment, and leave. Understood. Yes, Commander. The team replied in unison, their voices laced with tension. Beside him, Lyra, the feathered scientist, adjusted the calibration of her scanning devices. We need to focus on their biology, she said. If their immunity is a product of evolution, there may be genetic markers we can exploit. Soreth nodded. Then let's move. We cannot return to the Council empty-handed. The team descended into Earth's atmosphere, their ship silent as a shadow. They landed in a remote area, surrounded by dense forests and far from human settlements. Under the cover of darkness, they disembarked, their advanced suits blending seamlessly with the surroundings. In the quiet lab of the Global Disease Research Institute, Evelyn and Raj pored over their findings. The anomalies in the atmosphere were unlike anything they had seen before. This isn't just random, Evelyn said, her eyes scanning the data. Whatever was released here was engineered. But why hasn't it harmed us? Raj leaned back in his chair, his expression grim. What if it wasn't meant to? What if this was a test? Evelyn froze. The idea sent a chill down her spine. We need to alert the authorities, she said. If someone, or something, is targeting Earth, we need to be ready. Miles away, Soreth's team began their work. They moved with precision, collecting air samples, soil, and vegetation. Lyra used her handheld scanner to analyze the DNA of local wildlife, comparing it to the samples they'd gathered from other planets. It's incredible, she whispered, her feathers shimmering with excitement. The adaptability of life on this planet is unparalleled. Even the simplest organisms here have genetic defenses I've never seen before. Soreth's voice crackled through her communicator. Focus, Lyra. We're here for humans, not admiration. Lyra rolled her eyes but continued her scans. If their environment is this resilient, it's no wonder the humans are immune to our weapon. As the team worked, they failed to notice a pair of human hikers venturing into the forest. The two friends were exploring the area, their laughter echoing softly through the trees. One of the hikers paused, frowning. Do you hear that? The other stopped, listening, There was a faint hum in the air, almost imperceptible. What is that? Before they could investigate further, Soreth activated his team's cloaking devices. The operatives melted into the shadows, watching as the humans approached. "They're coming too close," one of the operatives whispered. Soreth cursed under his breath. "Hold your positions. We can't risk exposure." The humans wandered closer, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. One of them stumbled upon a strange device left by Lyra, a small scanner still embedded in the ground. "What the heck is this?" the hiker asked, picking it up. "It looks alien," his friend replied, her voice shaking. Soreth's patience snapped. "Retrieve the device." One of the operatives broke cover, moving faster than the humans could react. In a blur, the alien grabbed the scanner and vanished into the night, leaving the hikers frozen in terror. What was that?" one of them stammered. "I don't know," the other replied, "but we need to get out of here. Now." Back at the council ship, Soreth slammed the device onto the table, his frustration evident. "This mission was supposed to be clean. Now we've left evidence behind." Lyra inspected the scanner, ensuring it wasn't compromised. "It's fine. The humans won't understand what they saw. They're too primitive to comprehend this technology." "That doesn't mean they won't try," Soreth snapped. "We've risked exposing ourselves." Lyra's feathers bristled, but she said nothing. Instead, she turned back to her data, her mind racing with theories. On Earth, Evelyn and Raj received an urgent call from a nearby university. The two hikers had reported their encounter, and now the scientific community was abuzz with speculation. "You're saying they found alien technology?" Evelyn asked, disbelief in her voice. "That's what they claim," the caller replied. "And honestly, given the atmospheric anomalies you've been studying, it doesn't seem impossible." Raj looked at Evelyn, his expression serious. "If this is real, we might not just be dealing with a test. We might already be under observation." Evelyn nodded. "Then we need to find out who, or what, is watching us." In the Galactic Council chamber, Supreme Counselor Verathos leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. Reports from Soreth's team had begun to trickle in, and the data was both fascinating and troubling. "So, humanity's immunity is rooted in their environment and evolution," he mused. "It seems they are more than the primitive pests we believed." He turned to his advisors. "We must decide our next move carefully. If humanity cannot be subdued, they may need to be eliminated." The chamber fell silent as the council contemplated the implications. The investigation had raised more questions than answers, and humanity's resilience was no longer just an anomaly. It was a threat. Unbeknownst to them, humanity was beginning its own investigation. The race was on, and the stakes had never been higher. Humanity strikes back. Evelyn and Raj stood in the middle of a hastily assembled research lab. The alien device the hikers had found was now on their table, its strange metallic surface gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. It pulsed faintly, as if alive, defying every scientific principle they knew. "This thing, it's unlike anything I've ever seen," Raj said, running a handheld scanner over the device. "It's emitting low-frequency signals. But to what? Or to whom?" Evelyn, leaning over her laptop, pulled up the atmospheric anomaly data. "Whatever this is, it's connected to the changes we've been tracking. It's not just an observation tool. It's part of something much bigger." Their findings were immediately sent to the world's top scientists and military leaders. Within hours, an emergency summit was convened. At the Pentagon, a large screen displayed Evelyn and Raj's findings for a room filled with military officials, scientists, and politicians. "So, you're saying aliens are watching us?" a general asked, his skepticism barely concealed. "Not just watching," Evelyn corrected. "Testing. They released something into our atmosphere, but it hasn't affected us. Whatever they intended, it didn't work, but now they're trying to figure out why." The room erupted in whispers. "What's our next step?" asked a senator, his face pale. Raj spoke up. We need to track their signals. If this device is communicating with something, we might be able to trace it back to its source. The general nodded. Then let's find out who's spying on us, and send them a message they won't forget. Meanwhile, aboard the cloaked council ship, Lyra and Soreth reviewed the samples they had collected. Commander, Lyra said, her feathers quivering with excitement, the humans' genetic makeup is extraordinary. Their immune systems can adapt to threats faster than any species we've encountered. Soreth crossed his arms, his reptilian eyes narrowing. And you're saying this is why our weapon failed? Lyra nodded. Yes, but there's more. Their DNA suggests latent potential. It's as if their bodies are preparing for threats they haven't even encountered yet. Soreth scowled. They're dangerous then, more dangerous than the Council realizes. Before Lyra could respond, an alert sounded. Incoming transmission. A technician reported. It's human. Soreth's claws gripped the edge of the console. What? The holographic screen flickered to life, displaying the face of General Harris, the leader of Earth's military response team. This is General Harris of Earth, he said, his voice steady. We know you're watching us. We found your device, and we're not afraid of you. Lyra gasped, her feathers fluffing out in shock. Soreth growled. They're bluffing. They don't know what they're dealing with. But Harris wasn't finished. If you think you can intimidate us, think again. Humanity doesn't bow to threats. And if you try to harm us, you'll find out just how resilient we can be. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the alien crew stunned. They've traced us, Lyra said, her voice trembling. They shouldn't have been able to do that. Soreth slammed his fist against the console. The Council must be informed. These humans are more resourceful than we thought. Back on Earth, General Harris turned to his team. Did they respond? No, sir, a technician replied. But we know they received the message. Their ship briefly broke cloaking for a fraction of a second. We've pinpointed their location. Harris nodded. Good. Let's make sure they know we're not an easy target. Evelyn and Raj, watching from a corner of the room, exchanged a look. They're going to fight back, Evelyn whispered. Raj nodded. But what if that's exactly what the aliens want? If they're testing us, this could escalate everything. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Then we need to make sure we're ready. In the Galactic Council chamber, Supreme Counselor Verethos reviewed the report from Soreth's team. The human transmission played on a loop, their defiant words echoing in the vast hall. They've detected us, Verethos said, his tone cold. And they've challenged us. The council members murmured among themselves. This changes everything, one said. We cannot allow this primitive species to defy us. Another added. Verethos raised a hand, silencing the room. Humanity has proven to be a more formidable opponent than we anticipated, but their defiance will be their undoing. He turned to Dr. Krillin. You will accelerate your research, find their weaknesses. If biology cannot defeat them, we will turn to more direct methods. Unbeknownst to the Council, humanity was already preparing for the inevitable conflict. With their newfound knowledge and unyielding spirit, they were ready to stand against the galaxy's most powerful force. The battle wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving, once and for all, that humanity was not to be underestimated. The Council's strike. The Galactic Council's warship loomed in orbit, its massive frame cloaked in invisibility, casting an unseen shadow over Earth. Inside its command center, Soreth prepared his operatives for a direct assault. The Council has authorized action, he said, pacing before his assembled team. His claws clinked against the metallic floor with each step. Humanity's defiance has crossed a line. Our mission is to subdue them before they become a greater threat. Lyra's feathers trembled, her hesitation apparent. Commander, with respect, their immunity to our weapons poses a problem. What if our efforts fail again? Soreth's reptilian eyes narrowed. That's why we've developed a new strategy. Instead of targeting their biology, We'll target their infrastructure. We will strike where they are weakest, cut off their communication, disrupt their power, and shatter their morale. Once they are divided, they will fall. The operatives nodded, their resolve firm. Lyra remained silent, her unease growing. On Earth, Evelyn and Raj were running simulations in their lab, trying to predict the aliens' next move. The data they'd gathered from the alien device painted a grim picture. They're not going to give up, Evelyn said, her voice tense. If their biological attack failed, they'll try something else. Raj nodded. Then we need to stay ahead of them. The military's working on countermeasures, but if they hit us where we're vulnerable. He was interrupted by an alert on Evelyn's laptop. It was a live feed from one of the military's surveillance satellites. Raj, look at this, Evelyn said, her eyes widening. The screen showed a faint distortion in the atmosphere above Earth, something massive moving, bending the light around it. That's their ship, Raj whispered. Evelyn picked up her phone and dialed General Harris. In the Pentagon's war room, General Harris and his team were already mobilizing. Evelyn and Raj's warning had confirmed their suspicions. The aliens were preparing to strike. We need to disable that ship, Harris said, pointing to the satellite feed. If they launch a full-scale attack, it could cripple us. A young officer spoke up. Sir, our systems aren't advanced enough to detect their cloaking tech. How do we fight something we can't see? Harris turned to Evelyn and Raj, who had just arrived in the room. That's where you come in. You've studied their technology. Can you help us find a way to neutralize it? Evelyn took a deep breath. We've been analyzing their device. It emits a unique signal. We might be able to use it against them. If we can create a disruption in their systems, it could force their ship to decloak. Raj added, but we'll need to act fast. Once they realize what we're doing, they'll adapt. Harris nodded. Do whatever you need to. Time is running out. Aboard the alien ship, Sorath gave the command to deploy EMP devices across Earth's major cities. Target their communication hubs and power grids, he ordered. Without those, they'll be helpless. As the operatives prepared the devices, Lyra approached Sorath. Commander, I must protest, she said. This approach risks escalating the conflict. If humans retaliate, the damage could be catastrophic for both sides. Sorath snarled. This is war, Lyra. If you lack the stomach for it, stay out of my way. Lyra stepped back, her feathers flattened in submission. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would end in disaster. On Earth, Evelyn and Raj worked tirelessly to create a countermeasure. They used the alien device to generate a signal pulse, one that they hoped would disrupt the ship's cloaking field. It's ready, Evelyn said, her hands trembling slightly. Raj nodded. Let's hope this works. The military deployed the device at a secure location. The moment it was activated, a powerful pulse radiated across the atmosphere. Aboard the alien ship, alarms blared. Commander, a technician shouted. Our cloaking field is failing. The humans are countering us. Sorath slammed his fist against the console. How? They're not supposed to have this level of technology. Lyra looked at the data streaming across her console. They've adapted, Commander. Just like their biology, their intelligence is proving to be a formidable weapon. Before Sorath could respond, the ship's cloaking field collapsed, revealing its massive frame to the humans below. On Earth, people across the globe looked up in awe and terror as the alien ship became visible. In the Pentagon, General Harris smirked. We've got them now. Prepare the strike teams. Evelyn and Raj watched the screen, their hearts pounding. This is it, Evelyn whispered. As Earth's military forces mobilized, the alien ship began its counterattack. Energy beams rained down on uninhabited areas, creating massive explosions meant to intimidate. But humanity didn't cower. They fought back with everything they had. Newly developed anti-aircraft systems, EMP rockets, and a determination that burned brighter than the stars. For the first time, The Galactic Council's forces realized they weren't facing a weak, primitive species. They were facing survivors, turning the tide. The skies above Earth lit up with the battle raging between humanity and the Galactic Council's forces. Alien energy beams collided with Earth's defenses, but humanity held firm. In the Pentagon's war room, General Harris stood at the center of the chaos, issuing orders as reports came in from around the globe. "Eastern defense grids are holding strong," one officer shouted. "But they're targeting our satellites," another warned. "If they take them out, we'll lose communication." General Harris turned to Evelyn and Raj. "Can your signal disrupt their offensive systems too?" Evelyn nodded, her fingers flying across her keyboard. "If we amplify the pulse and tune it to their energy frequency, it might short out their weapons temporarily." Raj added, "But we'll need to get closer to their ship for it to work effectively. From here, the signal will lose power." Harris frowned. "Closer? That's a suicide mission." "We don't have a choice," Evelyn said firmly. "If we don't act now, they'll overwhelm us." Harris hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "We'll scramble a team. You two are coming with us." Aboard the alien ship, Sorath's frustration reached its peak. "The humans are more resilient than we anticipated," he growled. "Their defenses should have crumbled by now." Lyra, standing nearby, studied the data pouring into her console. "Their coordination is remarkable, Commander. They've adapted to our tactics faster than expected. We underestimated their resourcefulness." Sorath slammed his claws against the console. "Enough excuses. Deploy the drones. We'll overwhelm them with sheer numbers." Lyra hesitated. "If we escalate further, the Council may not approve. They wanted a test, not a war." "This is no longer a test," Sorath snapped. "This is survival." As swarms of alien drones descended upon Earth, humanity's forces fought back with renewed vigor. Anti-aircraft guns lit up the night sky, and EMP rockets exploded in brilliant flashes, disabling countless drones. Amid the chaos, a stealth aircraft carrying Evelyn, Raj, and a team of elite soldiers flew toward the alien ship. "Are you sure this is going to work?" asked Captain Walker, the leader of the team, as he piloted the craft. "No," Evelyn admitted, clutching the modified device in her hands. "But it's our best shot." The aircraft dodged enemy fire as it approached the massive alien vessel. Inside the ship, Lyra monitored the battle. Her feathers bristled as she noticed the stealth craft approaching. "Commander, a human vessel is heading directly toward us," she reported. Sorath smirked. "Let them come. They'll be annihilated before they get close." But as the craft drew nearer, it released a concentrated EMP burst. The alien ship's systems flickered, and the drones began to falter mid-flight. "What's happening?" Sorath roared. Lyra stared at her console in shock. "The humans have developed a countermeasure. They're targeting our energy systems." Sorath's eyes narrowed. "Activate the core stabilizer. We'll neutralize their interference." On board the stealth craft, Evelyn watched the alien ship regain stability. "They're adapting," she said, her voice tense. "We need to get inside their ship and deliver the pulse directly to their core." Captain Walker glanced back at her. "You're serious? How do we even get in there?" Raj pointed to a schematic they had pieced together from the alien device. "There's a maintenance hatch near the ship's underbelly. If we can reach it, we can infiltrate the ship." Walker nodded grimly. "All right, let's do it. Everyone, prepare for boarding." Inside the alien ship, Sorath's patience was wearing thin. "They're relentless," he muttered. "How can such a primitive species push us to this point?" Lyra, however, couldn't help but feel a spark of admiration for the humans. "Perhaps they're not as primitive as we thought. Their resilience is extraordinary." Sorath shot her a glare. "They're pests, and I will crush them." As the stealth craft reached the alien vessel, Evelyn, Raj, and the soldiers disembarked, moving swiftly through the maintenance hatch. The interior of the ship was a maze of metallic corridors, glowing with an eerie blue light. "We don't have much time," Evelyn whispered, clutching the device. "The core is this way." The team moved cautiously, avoiding patrols and security systems. In the ship's control room, Lyra detected the intruders. "Commander, humans have boarded the ship," she exclaimed. Sorath's face twisted in fury. "Send the guards. Kill them on sight." Lyra hesitated. "What if they're here to sabotage the core? If they succeed, it could cripple us completely." "Then stop them," Sorath barked. Evelyn and her team reached the core, a massive, glowing sphere pulsating with energy. "This is it," Raj said, setting up the device. But before they could activate it, alien guards burst into the room, weapons raised. "Defend the device," Captain Walker shouted, opening fire. A fierce battle erupted. Evelyn and Raj worked frantically to activate the pulse as the soldiers held off the alien guards. "Almost there," Evelyn shouted, sweat dripping down her face. With a final keystroke, the device powered up. A surge of energy rippled through the core, sending shockwaves throughout the ship. In the control room, systems failed one by one. "We're losing power," Lyra exclaimed. Sorath's face was a mask of rage. "Retreat. Get us out of here before they destroy us completely." But Lyra knew it was too late. Humanity had turned the tide. Humanity's triumph. The alien ship trembled as the pulse from Evelyn's device rippled through its systems. Lights flickered, engines sputtered, and weapons powered down. For the first time, the Galactic Council's warship was utterly vulnerable. Evelyn stood beside the glowing core, breathing heavily. "It worked. We did it." Raj, still holding his makeshift scanner, nodded. "But we're not out of danger yet. The ship is destabilizing, and we're still on board." Captain Walker surveyed the room, his soldiers standing guard. "We need an extraction, now." In the control room, chaos reigned. Sorath barked orders, but the ship's systems refused to respond. "Commander, we've lost control of the engines," Lyra reported, her voice laced with urgency. "The ship is on a collision course with Earth." Sorath slammed his fist against the console. "How could this happen? These humans, they've defeated us." Lyra looked at him, a mix of fear and respect in her eyes. "Perhaps we underestimated them, Commander. Their resilience and ingenuity have proven greater than ours." Sorath sneered but said nothing. On Earth, General Harris and his team watched the alien ship falter on their monitors. "They disabled the ship," Harris said, a note of awe in his voice. "The pulse worked." An officer interjected. "Sir, the ship is losing altitude. If it crashes, the impact could be catastrophic." Harris turned to his communications officer. "Get me Evelyn and Raj. We need to know what's happening on that ship." Inside the alien vessel, Evelyn, Raj, and the soldiers raced back toward their extraction point. The corridors shook violently, and pieces of the ship's structure collapsed around them. "We're not going to make it," Raj said, dodging a falling beam. "Yes, we are," Evelyn replied, determination blazing in her eyes. "We didn't come this far to fail now." The team reached the maintenance hatch, where their stealth craft was waiting. As they climbed aboard, Evelyn glanced back at the ship's glowing core. "What about the aliens?" she asked. "If the ship crashes, it'll kill them all." Captain Walker frowned. "That's their problem, not ours." Raj hesitated. "They may be our enemies, but we can't just let them die. There has to be another way." In the control room, Lyra made a decision. "Commander, I'm activating the emergency beacon," she said, her hands moving swiftly over the controls. Sorath snarled. "You dare defy me?" "I dare to save our people," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "If we don't act now, everyone on this ship will perish." The emergency beacon emitted a distress signal, reaching both the remaining Council fleet and Earth's military. On Earth, General Harris received the signal. "Sir, the alien ship is requesting assistance," the communications officer reported. Harris raised an eyebrow. "Assistance? after they tried to annihilate us. Evelyn's voice crackled over the radio. "General, it's Evelyn. We're off the ship, but the core is unstable. If it crashes, the fallout will be devastating. We need to work with them to prevent a disaster." Harris sighed heavily. "Very well. Open a channel to their ship." As the stealth craft flew away, Evelyn and Raj watched from the viewport as Earth's military sent out drones to stabilize the alien ship. Using the combined efforts of human and alien technology, the ship's descent slowed, preventing a catastrophic crash. The alien vessel finally came to rest on the outskirts of Earth's atmosphere, hovering just above the planet's surface. In the aftermath, humanity stood tall, united as never before. The Galactic Council's failed invasion became a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. Evelyn and Raj, now hailed as heroes, stood before the United Nations, addressing the world. "This wasn't just a victory for Earth," Evelyn said. "It was a message to the galaxy. Humanity is not weak. We are stronger together, and we will defend our place among the stars." In the remnants of the alien ship, Lyra looked out at Earth's surface, her thoughts racing. "They're unlike any species we've encountered," she said quietly. Thorath, sitting in the shadows, said nothing. Defeat had silenced him. Lyra turned to him. "Perhaps it's time we reconsidered our approach. Humanity may be the key to something greater." Thorath scoffed, but Lyra's words lingered in the air. As Earth rebuilt and prepared for the future, one thing was clear. Humanity's journey among the stars had just begun, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.